Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us with another episode of Phil and the Mic. I am Darren Michael, as always. And with me, as you can see, the man is always surrounded by cameras. Money Mark is back from Las Vegas, where he's been assisting Caesars Sportsbook, making some spreads. Basically, what they said to him was, listen, guy, we're so tired of you taking so much money from us. We're just going to hire you directly. Money Mark, welcome
Yeah.
to the
What's
show,
going
buddy.
on, D? It's good to
How
see
are
you,
you?
buddy. I'm doing great, man. Everything's
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah.
good, good.
I am I'm clearly in a sports bar prior to their opening. It's very nicely, I mean, they set out like you can kind of see they've got like some table settings everywhere. I mean, it's nice brick wall background and it looks like John Madden's been here. Like you can see there's some X's and O's drawn up, boom, right there, and bam, so this is a nice spot, man. I really like this spot.
Well,
This is just outside of Vegas, obviously.
yeah. I mean, I appreciate you doing this. I mean, it's 3:42 on the West Coast right now, which
Yeah,
is or four. I'm sorry, 4:42. So it's not
yeah.
quite as early, but the thing that I love is that you paused all the TVs so there would be no distractions.
Of course. Yeah, there's dead silence in here. I mean, you can hear a pin drop if one were to drop, but that's not likely. So we're in good shape, man. We're ready
All
to
right,
roll.
man. Well, good. Well, thank you for joining. I want to jump right into it, and
Let's
I
do it.
brought you on. I need your expertise today, and I'm going to go a little bit differently. We're going to start off. We're going to talk about something that normally Phil and I really don't get into much, and that is I'm jumping right into golf,
Golf, let's do it. That's my
and
sweet spot, man.
I need we need your explanation. So recently, what is it, the PGA, the LIV, and the DP World Tour? They all kind of got together and said, "Hey, let's just make this one big tour." First and foremost, before I get into anything, can you explain to me kind of how this came about?
Yeah, so the Live Tour was started a couple years ago, funded by the PIF or Public Investment Fund, which is the Saudi Arabia government public fund that has, I believe it at last count, $680 billion in it. And the purpose of that fund is to invest on behalf of the citizenry of Saudi Arabia. We know Saudi Arabia is a kingdom. So it's really what the crown prince wants, right? For the most part.
Right.
So Saudi Arabia has been on this journey to get out of kind of the oil economy, get into different economies, and really advance their society. They want to be a tourist destination. So they actually invested in Lucid Electric Motor Company, which is, I think I said their name wrong, but it's a high-end electric vehicle manufacturer. The cars go from $100,000 to $250,000, and their CEO is a former head of engineering for Tesla. So, they've got all kinds of investments made there. The company is up and coming, and the public investment fund owns about 62% of that company. So that's their way of diversifying out of oil. All right, just a little bit of background, but into the sports side of it. So they wanted to get into golf. They started Live. They got Greg Norman to kind of be the face of Live. They bought a lot of players. So they gave all these players signing bonuses, Phil Mickelson and others. And, unfortunately, there were several players, including Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, several others that turned down offers. Rumors have it Tiger was offered up to $800 million signing bonus.
Jeez.
And that's a published number out there. We don't know if it's true. Sam Burns, there's all kinds of guys that said, nope, we're loyal to the PGA. Saudi Arabia's got some human rights violations. A lot of both the PGA commissioner, Jay Moynihan, and others talked about 9/11 because, there's rumors that was funded by the Saudi government. There were, majority of the terrorists that, did that were Saudi Arabian citizens. So there are some ties there, a very controversial topic. But a lot of them were talking about that. And there's a quote by Jay Moynihan, the PGA, tour commissioner, saying that not on my watch, we're never going to, do anything with them, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden, breaking news, they are merging with Live. And basically, it's not really Live, it's more the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia, for all intents and purposes, bought the PGA. So Saudi and the DP World Tour, which is formerly known as the European Tour. So Saudi Arabia basically owns golf in the world now. So all of these tours are coming together under one entity, a for-profit entity. I believe the PGA will still stay tax exempt, which I have no idea how both the PGA and NFL can do that, because they make millions and billions of dollars, but they're still kind of a tax exempt entity. And needless to say, the players meeting that day was very heated. Rory was apparently very angry about it. All these guys are angry about it. Mickelson is like joyous, right? He's like, okay, welcome over here, guys. Like, and because he made his money, right? Bryson DeChambeau made his money. He went to LIV. Brooks Koepka. So I think the person that looks the worst in this whole thing is Jay Moynihan. I think he is just a complete and utter hypocrite. Yeah. All these players stayed loyal to him, and he sold out. I mean, it's the bottom line. He sold out. So we'll see what happens. Some people are saying, they may pay these players like Rory and Tiger and others like similar type signing bonuses retroactively. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I think there's still some drama to be played out. Like, I would be surprised if, like, Jay Moynihan is the CEO of the merged entity, and the director of the player or the public investment fund, I can't remember his name right now. He's actually going to be the chairman. And what's crazy about him is not only does he run the public investment fund of $680 billion, he's the chairman of the most profitable company in the world, which is Saudi Aramco. They make the most profit of any company in the world. He's also the chairman of Newcastle United Soccer Club in the Premier League. And this guy, like, he just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you look up his name and you see all these things he's attached to. He could be the most interesting man in the world. So I think he should do some Dos Equis commercials personally.
Well, let me ask you this though. This is really, really odd. Like, why would the PGA do this?
Money. Marc talks about money, and it's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
Oh, it's all about the money. I mean, so you look at Saudi Arabia, not only do they invest in a really high-end electric car company, the soccer teams are, and I'm sure we're going to get to that, but Ronaldo is in the Saudi Arabian league now at an ungodly amount of money, right? They're paying all these players tons of money. And, Moynihan saw the dollars, man. That's my take. There's no reports of that, but it's all about the money. It's a business decision. And, now this merged entity is massive and can do so many other things with all the money they're getting from the Saudi public investment fund. So it's money.
Here's an interesting take on it. And I was reading about this. Rumor has it, people are saying this looks like an antitrust violation. So for those of you out there that don't know what that is, companies with larger market share can't make agreements to avoid competing against each other. So basically, there's now a worldwide, for the most part, a worldwide golf monopoly. So there's really no competition. So let me ask you this one. Is there a chance that holds up and maybe this merger doesn't happen, or this purchase doesn't happen?
I'd be shocked. And the reason is the precedent is the NFL, right? Like, what league in the world competes with the NFL? None. Yet that still continues to operate, without any antitrust issues. I mean, you can't even say XFL, USF, like, that's just a joke.
There's no. There's no other compete. I think the problem with football is mainly just an American sport. So it's not something that's played professionally all over the world. I mean, they tried doing it in Europe and it failed horribly.
But antitrust is a United States thing. Antitrust isn't worldwide. So you're talking about a law that's specific to the United States.
I mean, I think it's going to be a battle. I really do.
Yeah, well, I don't think it will be.
You think it's going to go right? You think it's just going to happen?
Yeah, there's too many leagues that have no competition that operate. Major League Baseball, hockey, like everything. Look at all the major leagues in the U.S. They have no competition. Like, you could declare all those monopolies too. So there's not really a legal precedent to be able to do anything. Now, will the government try? I think so, because it's Saudi Arabia, right? So there's like, even though Saudi Arabia is an ally, they're also normalizing relations with Iran. So, like, we don't like that.
No, no, we
So
have
it
a
could
very
be
strange
political.
relationship with those
I mean,
guys.
I'm sure to your point, it probably will be a battle just for the politics of it, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think there's no legal precedent for it. And if they do this in golf, they're going to need to do this in the NFL and all these other places too. So it will be interesting. Like you're getting at it, and like I said, like the drama is going to continue. Like
Yeah.
Moynihan's going to be pressured by players to quit. He's already like a couple of them already asked for his resignation. There's almost zero chance he's going to quit though. But I think if anything, he's probably going to try to get some more money for the guys that stayed loyal to him. But yeah, so and it's funny, like I'm not a huge Trump guy, but Trump said last year, there's a quote by him that said, hey, when all these guys being loyal to the PGA, to a disloyal PGA, just wait, like when LIV merges with the PGA, which it will do, you're going to stand, you're going to be, without that paying bonus or signing bonus. And I mean, he called it like to the day, like a year ago, he actually called it. So uh yeah, it's really interesting because Trump's a businessman. He knows about business. That's just a
Yeah.
business decision.
Yeah.
But Moynihan, I think, looks the worst in all of this. Just a complete hypocrite.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I
Yeah.
appreciate the explanation, man.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. Do you know who Rose Zhang is?
No, I don't.
Rose Zhang, she won her first event. I guess it was her professional debut last week on the LPGA tour. Basically, it was 2 weeks earlier. Her team, I think it was Stanford, won the NCAA golf championship, and then she goes out and she plays. I can't even remember what the event was, and she wins her first event, won
Wow,
$412,000.
that's awesome.
Not bad for your first professional event.
That's amazing.
I think I was reading that was the first time that's been done since 1951.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
You've got I mean, there's players that turn pro, but I guess this one was different because this was actually her first event that she's ever
Wow.
played in. So,
That's
congratulations
amazing.
to her, man.
Yeah,
That's exciting, right? It's exciting.
definitely. Congratulations.
Sounds like me on the golf course. Not really. All right. So we're going to move on to the next topic. These two topics have me really, really, really jazzed, actually. And that is soccer. Like you
All
said,
right.
you talked about the Saudis throwing money at everybody, basically for all these different sports, and somehow Lionel Messi, who's arguably the greatest player, didn't he just win player? I think he just won player of the year, didn't
I
he?
think you did. Yeah. He's been playing
Um,
forever too.
yeah, I mean, he's 35 years old. He's still playing at a really, really, really high level.
Mhm.
And he was given this massive contract by offer by Saudi Arabia. I mean, it was anywhere from 500 to $800 million a year. I mean, just something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He decides to join the MLS team in Miami. What the hell happened? The
I
MLS team? I'm
I was
like,
I was watching that pretty closely, and the first report that came out was that he accepted the Saudi Arabia offer. And at the time it was 1.2 billion euro for 2 years. Um, and they reported, okay, yeah, he's going to Saudi Arabia, he's going to play with Ronaldo. This was like early on. And then the next day I look and I see, I'm looking at this and it's like, you know, Messi's going to sign with Inter Milan. I'm like, Inter Milan? That, like, I'm shocked that he would go to the Italian league. And then
yeah,
I like went like this, and I'm like, Inter Miami. He's going to Miami. He's going to MLS. I'm like totally mind blown. But you look at it and you kind of see all that's being reported. I think he's going to make like $54 million a year.
yeah,
The
yeah,
next highest player in the MLS makes 8 million.
yeah. I saw that.
So it's not even close. And, so not even close to 1.2 billion. So why is he doing this? Well, he's obviously signed with Adidas. Adidas is giving him a share of all of the uniforms sold. So like any jerseys across the league, he's getting a cut of. Apple is involved. They're doing like a four show series on him, a docu series, and they have some kind of like, MLS pass or something on Apple TV. He's going to get a share of all that money. And he has an option to get an ownership interest in the club when he's done playing. And do you know who owns Inter Miami?
I do not.
David Beckham.
Oh,
So
David, you're kidding.
when David Beckham got his contract in LA, one of his terms of coming over, similar kind of thing, was the MLS promised him ownership of an expansion team. That expansion team is Inter Miami. So there's also rumors now that Luis Suarez, who's a top player, might come to Inter Miami as well to play with Messi. And of course,
Jeez.
tickets are sold out. Like
Yeah,
tickets are
out of
going
control.
like resale tickets are like $3,500, 240, just insane. So I think it's amazing for the sport of soccer in the U.S. I mean, just incredible. I mean, it's similar to like Pele when he
Yeah,
came to the U.S. in the '70s. Like I think it's
yeah,
going to pump
yeah.
up the sport dramatically, and I love it. I love seeing it. The last report I saw was that Saudi Arabia team, their final offer to Messi was 1.6 billion euro for 3 years, and he turned it down. And he said clearly, like, it's obviously not about the money. If it were about the money, that's what I would have taken. But
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
is something I want to do, and it, from a business perspective, makes sense. And
Interesting.
because he's easing himself into retirement. Barcelona, who was in the mix too, said you know, that they had a quote saying something like, Messi wants to play in a place where there's not as much pressure and spotlight, and because he's in the waning part of his career. But to your point, he still is an amazing player. But it'll be interesting. Inter Miami is terrible. I don't think they've won yet this year. They're at last place, so it'll be interesting to see how he can turn that around.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I was looking at that. I mean, since the MLS started, I think they've gone from 8 teams. I want to say now they're at 32 teams.
Yeah.
And the franchise fee just to have a team, it was 10 million to start. Now it's 500 million. So
Jeez.
obviously they're making money. I mean, obviously it's successful. I know here in Atlanta that they're sold out pretty much every game
Is it the
at
Fire
the
that play there?
stadium.
Atlanta Fire?
Atlanta Pride?
Oh,
No,
it's Chicago Fire.
Chicago
I
Fire.
can't
I,
remember.
I
See,
can't
like we
keep
don't even
track
know
of
the
it.
team's name. Like we
I,
but I
I
think like in 2 years, like everybody's gonna know all the teams because of Messi.
probably,
Yeah.
probably. I mean, it's exciting to have a guy like that coming over. I mean, Beckham did a lot of great things when he came
Yeah.
over, but this is just it's different because I think soccer in the United States is in a different place than it
Yeah.
was when Beckham came over.
I agree.
But pretty
Definitely.
exciting. One I just want to talk about something else
Sure.
with soccer because I think this was pretty interesting. The U.S. women, they're oh, we want equal pay, right? And you look at like the men's team brought in like billions of dollars, and the U.S. women's team brought in $100 million, and they want equal pay, and it's like I'll never understand it. But there was an interesting. I don't know if you heard about this. There was some sort of exhibition put on. I guess there's a whole bunch of teams. There's like somewhere between 30 and 40 teams, and it's kind of one of the teams that was in this exhibition tournament was a team made up of U.S. women players. And so they went and they were in a league. Their division had Wrexham, who everybody knows because Ryan Reynolds owns that team, and they had another team made up of men, and then they had a men's and women's combo team, and then you had the U.S. women, and the U.S. women played their 3 games, and they barely lost out on those 3 games by a combined score of 24-1,
Hmm.
including 12-0 versus Wrexham.
Wait, was
Uh,
this American football or regular
this was
European
no, this
football?
was America. This was soccer, American.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking
Um,
24 is like that's like 3 touchdowns and a field goal.
yeah,
But now you're
basically.
talking about soccer.
I'm talking about soccer.
24 goals.
Yeah,
Okay. All
that's
right.
that's 3 games. That's three
Yeah.
games.
Okay. Three
But
game
they did
across three
lose
games. Okay.
12-0 to Wrexham. And this is a team where they're very outspoken, and they like to talk a big game. They talk about how they can compete with the men.
Hmm.
And so I did some digging, and I saw that I think it was the U.S. women's team. They had a tune-up back in 2017 where they played it was either Dallas or Houston under 15 boys team and lost.
Yeah. Now, did
So
they have all their A players against Wrexham? Like, was
no,
it?
they didn't have,
Okay.
but Wrexham
Okay.
didn't have all their eight players either. But they
Okay.
still they still had national they
Yeah.
still had national type women. So I
What
mean, I
was the
guess
point of it? Like, why did they do it?
It was just a winner take all
Exhibition.
$1 million tournament.
Oh, okay.
One
Gotcha.
of those silly things. So, I would love to see the full U.S. But here's the thing, though: if you're going to play the full U.S. women's team,
Yeah.
you're going to play against a full men's
US
team.
men's team or yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I still think that was interesting that they did a tune-up for
Yeah.
they did a tune-up in 2017 for a match against Russia.
Yeah.
They played a bunch of boys and they
I
lost.
understand.
So,
Mm.
it's an interesting thing. And actually, oh my God, I had made notes. I can't remember what I did with it, but they were talking about some differences between men and women. I thought this was a little different, and I don't want to get into the whole semantics
Yeah.
of
No.
whatever, but I thought this was really interesting, right? Like they took, who the world record for the 100-meter run is, right? For men.
No, is it um I don't know. What was it?
Usain Bolt.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Usain
Yeah.
Bolt. So he's got the record, and the record for women is I can't remember who it is. One of the biggest names, and they compared the number of people, what place she would have been in. She's the number one all time. She's got the world record. I don't know if it's Joyner Curse or if it's Flojo, one of those. And they looked at all the people that have ever run, and they found that Usain Bolt had the best time of all time. She would have ended up in 7,000th place,
Hmm.
and she is the world record holder for the 100
Yeah.
meter for women.
Yeah.
Just to show I thought that was just interesting. Like I said, not getting in anything, but I just thought that was really, really interesting to see that there were
Yeah.
7,000 people that. But anyway, I'm gonna get away from that. I want to jump into a little Major League Baseball. We're
Hey,
40%.
can I just one thing
Yeah,
about soccer that I just want to throw in there?
yeah, yeah, please.
Um, Pep Guardiola is the Bill Belichick of soccer.
Okay.
He is the, Vince Lombardi of soccer. He managed Man City to what's called the treble, right? And a treble is you win your league, you win your country's cup, and then you win the Continental Cup, okay, Champions League. He did that this year for the second time
Wow.
as a manager, and he has so many trophies managing three different teams. Man City, he's managed for several years. Before that, Bayern Munich. Before that, Barcelona. Now, granted, he's had some amazing players, but
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy is everywhere he goes. He's a successful coach.
yeah.
So if you haven't heard of him, look up Pep Guardiola from Spain. Originally played originally for the Spanish national team and others, but he is an incredible story. So check him out.
That you know what, when you think about it, that's pretty impressive
Yeah,
because you're going up. I mean, you go up against the Premier League, which is a serious league, obviously in England. And you're taking the European. I mean, wow. I mean
yeah,
that there's a lot of good football
yeah.
played over there, and to be able to do that. I mean, to have a great team is one thing, but to be able to sweep like that, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people are declaring him the best, manager coach in football history, and that there's a lot of great coaches and managers over soccer history. So check him out. He's amazing story.
All right, we'll have to check
Yep,
them out. We'll have to check them out. So, time for a little baseball.
let's do it.
I cannot believe
I'm
how
ready. I got my fighting Phil shirt on.
too bad.
I know, right? Oh, we're on a streak, man. It's like 6 out of 7.
I
The
just
Cats are
I
waking up.
I can't believe that we're 40% into the season already. I
It's
mean, it
crazy.
literally seems like the season just started, but it's
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. So I'm gonna just throw a couple things out there, and I want you to tell me if you think that these things are gonna happen. All right.
Do
So
it.
we've got Luis Reyes. He's hitting 397 right now. It is June 12th. Is this guy gonna hit 400?
I mean, the odds are against it, clearly. Very few players ever hit 400 for a season. Although, there's a major crackdown on pitchers cheating. They're checking gloves or checking hats, like, the ERAs are up. And I don't think, it's not really it's a worst kept secret that pitchers cheat, and there's a lot of cheating in baseball. If you talk to actual major league players, I know some, they will tell you that, there is some cheating that goes on, and it's just everybody knows it and it happens.
Yeah.
Gaylord Perry, right? Like Phil Niekro, like all these guys use sandpaper and stuff, scuffing balls, and it's just known, especially in pitching. But they're cracking down on it. So, the hitting is definitely improved. I think if there is a guy that's going to hit 400 and he's that close, it will be this year. But I'm going to say no. I think guys hit slumps, and all you need is like a 10, 20 game slump, and you're out of it. Like you can't pull the numbers back up. So I think he's going to finish around 340, 350.
Yeah, that sounds probably right. Yep. It's funny because the last guy to hit 400 was Ted Williams in 1941. He hit 406. And the interesting thing about that, and many people don't realize it, is he did not win the MVP that year.
That's crazy.
There was a guy named Joe DiMaggio that year that had a 56-game hitting streak.
I've heard of that guy.
So I guess they valued a 56-game hitting streak more than 406. But to be honest with you, hitting wise, I don't know two stats that are more difficult to hit to achieve. I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's amazing, man.
Either way, I mean, for a whole season to go 2 for 5, or to be able to hit in 56 straight games, I don't know if we're ever going to see either one happen. But I would say 400 is probably more likely, and we've gotten close. I know 1980 George Brett hit 390. I think Tony Gwynn hit like 393 one season. So we've gotten close, but man, it's tough to do. It's tough to do. All right. Ronald Acuna Jr., 40-40. He's at 1328 now. So he's on pace for 33 home runs and 70 stolen bases. Can this guy pick up, you get hot, you pick up a few extra home runs here, but he's not really a big home run hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would go under that number, 40-40, just because of the home run side, because he's not a good power guy, or not a good, I mean, he's obviously hits for power, but he's a 5-tool player.
Yeah.
He's not trending to going above 40, and he's not known for hitting a ton of home runs. So I would go under that. I mean, I think he finishes with maybe 28 home runs and probably 50 stolen bases.
Yeah. I agree. All right, how about Spencer Strider, the great pitcher for the Atlanta Braves? Will he strike out 300? He's at 121 now. He's on pace for 303. He's actually striking out almost 15 per 9 innings, which is an absurd pace.
Yeah, it's absurd. I mean, it's hard for me because I'm a betting guy, and I always play the odds, and I just think the odds are against that too. Again, because of what I said earlier, these hitters hit, and I don't think he's cheating at all. I think he's just got that natural talent. But you know what? I'm gonna say I think he goes over 300. I think he's gonna do it. And if he does, he's a lock for Cy Young, but I think he will do it.
Yeah, he's having a great year, and he's got a really nice mustache too. So.
Yeah. Dude, that's the look nowadays. All these younger kids have the stash, man.
Yeah, man. I'm so jealous I can't grow a stash, but that's okay. How about this one? Freddie Freeman, the first to have 60 doubles since 1936. He's got 24 now, and he's on pace for 60.
Wow. I love Freddie Freeman, man. I wish he was.
I do too.
That guy is so awesome.
Yeah.
He still has, you can tell he's a professional, but he has fun. Like, he knows it's a game.
Yeah.
You see some of those videos with him and who's that dude on the Cubs? Can't remember. There's just clips of him like goofing around with that guy, when they're out there. I'm definitely gonna say he's gonna do it. And it might be because I like the guy. But if anybody can do it, he can do it. But see, what the thing that sucks is and this goes for DiMaggio and Ted Williams stuff that you talked about. Pitchers back then didn't pitch around guys. They just went at them, right? There was no strategy. Let's just walk. Like Barry Bonds, he probably could have hit 100 home runs, but he got walked 80 times, 1,000 times, or whatever it was. It was a crazy amount. They would never pitch to him. And I think all these stat heads, these geeks that study baseball, they're like, okay, just walk Freddie and we can get the next guy out 82% of the time. So I think that's going to happen. Like they're going to start pitching around them,
Yeah.
and they're going to start pitching around the dude that's hitting 396. Like they're, because there's enough guys that suck on the roster that you can just let this guy get on base and you're going to get the next guy out. So, and that's the part of the game that, it's great. It's part of it. It's strategy, and I think that's why you won't see the 56 game hitting streaks. You won't see the, batters batting 400 because the strategy comes into play and they don't just go out at guys. Like guys back in the 50s are like, I'm getting this guy out, and they don't. It's just Ted Williams hits the ball like,
Yeah.
out of the ballpark.
The like you said, the game has changed. I mean, you had a guy like Bob Gibson. Like you hit a home run off him. The next time you come to the plate, you're getting hit.
Yeah, he beats you.
He's just gonna throw the ball at you. And
Yeah.
nowadays, you do that and you're out of the game.
Yeah,
So,
you get thrown out. Yeah.
or
Totally different game.
back then you crowd the plate a little too close
Yeah.
and they brush you back. I mean, it's a different game, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's just evolved. And yeah, Freddie Freeman he's just an unbelievable guy. And he also has 8 stolen bases. So he's on pace for 20 stolen bases too.
I think he's going to do it.
Yeah. All right.
I think he gets 20 and 60 doubles. I think he does.
All right. I got one more for you.
All right.
The Tampa Bay Rays, okay, by far and away the best team in baseball right now. They are 48-20, which is a 706 winning percentage. Right now, they're on pace for 114 wins. The record for wins in a season is 116. Okay, they've kept up this blazing pace for 40% of the season. Can they do it for the rest of the season and tie or break the 116 mark?
So they started 30-9, which means they've been 18-11 since. So they're already starting to fall off pace a little bit. It's a pace that's difficult to keep, but I'm going to say yes. I think they do it. I think they keep it going. They've got who's their pitcher? They've got a really, really good pitcher. I can't remember that guy's name.
See, that's the crazy thing about this team. Like, you can't even name the guys on the team. That's how good they are.
Yeah. The Lowe brothers, they're not related. They're both last names both Lowe.
No, one is Lowe, one is Lau, I think.
Is it different? So Brandon and Josh, like they came out their bats were on fire. Like they were leading offensively. They've cooled off dramatically.
Yeah.
Like I think Brandon's hitting like 262, and they're starting to revert to the mean. But yeah, I'm gonna go because they're kind of bad news Bears like there's just like a bunch of no-name guys that are just playing great. But they do have like an amazing pitcher. I can't remember his freaking name though.
Shane McClanahan.
That's it, Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I think they keep it going. I think they break the record.
Okay, all right. I'd like to see it. And last but not least, in the AL, who is the team most likely to continue their success this year? The Texas Rangers at 41-23, or the Baltimore Orioles at 41-24?
All right, so this is going to be a biased pick. I put a preseason bet on the Orioles to win the World Series at I think like 45-1 or 50-1. So I am rooting hard for them. They're starting to wane, but my wife's born in Baltimore. You're obviously from Baltimore. We are O's fans in terms of American League, so I'm going to say the O's keep it going.
I like that, and then let's look at the NL, which is just the NL. I mean, the O's in Texas. I mean, Texas is a big surprise because they're always terrible. They spent all this money on a pitcher who flew out his arm. Nobody saw that coming except for everybody but the Texas Rangers. The O's played well last year. They're an up and coming team, but the NL, I can't figure out. So you got Pittsburgh at 34-30, and then this one just completely blows my mind. Arizona at 40-25. I mean, what the heck is going on in the NL?
I don't know, man. It's crazy. Cats are playing with dogs. It's just the NL is just a total disaster. Yeah, like you can't predict what's going on over there. I'm gonna say the Pirates kind of keep it going. I think they both fall off, to be honest. I don't think either of them maintain. But if I forced to pick one, I'm gonna go with the Pirates.
All right, fair enough.
And I have no logic whatsoever other than they're in Pennsylvania. Like I just, because again, I think both those teams fall off and like we're not even talking about them by the end of the year.
And I mean, you've already seen the Pirates. I mean, the Pirates are 34-30. I mean, it's just the
Yeah.
thing for them is they are in the second weakest division in baseball, and that's not even a stretch. I mean, they're in first
Yeah.
place at 34-30, which would be like the last place in the AL East.
Right.
But Arizona, I mean, 15 games over 500. I mean, there is no chance in hell that that pace holds up. I
Yeah.
mean, they've had some good play, but my God, Arizona, I think they were picked to win 70 games this year. So I mean, it's unbelievable that they're on pace to win 100 games. I'm just putting it out there. So
Yeah. Agreed.
all right, so let's go with some awards. Who would you say right now is your AL MVP at 40% of the season?
Uh, man, who do I think will win it by the end, or
No,
who do I
just
think
no,
is
just right now. Who do you think is the best player in the AL?
AL? Hmm.
I mean, this is
It's
this is
tough.
as hard as can be because uh there's really no stats that jump out.
Um,
Well, if you want, I mean, I can tell you who I think
yeah, you go ahead.
for AL MVP, and actually, I'm going to say this is a clean sweep. AL MVP and Cy Young. I think it's McClanahan.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I'm trying to look, and McClanahan has been by
Yeah.
far and away the best pitcher, and the Rays are the best team, but hitting wise, I mean they're decent, but he has just been a men among boys this season.
Yeah.
So I think not only is he the best pitcher in the league, I think he's the most valuable player right now. I don't know where the Rays would be without his dominance.
Yeah. I get
So
that.
I
I mean,
I,
I
I had
could
a lot
I
of
could see
trouble
that.
coming up with that one.
How often does the Cy Young Award winner win the MVP as well?
It happens
Is that
occasionally. It's
it
happened a
does?
hand.
Okay.
It's happened a handful of times.
I'm gonna go with Aaron Judge. I mean, that guy is just amazing. I mean, he's got 19 home runs. He's hitting almost 300.
Yep.
Um, he's just a beast. I think he's just gonna get better as the season goes on. So I think he's the MVP now, and I think he'll be the MVP at the end of the year.
Well, the
Um,
interesting thing about Judge is when you look at the writers, I have a feeling they're going to compare him to last season,
yeah, maybe.
and I have a feeling that that's going to put it. But you never know, and you never know. There's a lot of baseball to play, and
I think
this
he
is a
heats
guy
up. I
that can
mean,
get
he's got
hectic.
almost 20 home runs 40% of the way through. So I think he's going to heat up. I mean, he won't reach last year, but if he can kind of help pull the Yankees up, I think he's got a chance because
I mean,
he's.
he's
Did you
pacing
realize the guy's 6'8"? Did you know
uh,
that?
dude. He's huge. He's so big. He's
I
so
never realized he was that tall. 6'8" is gigantic. That's like
Yeah, he's huge.
unbelievable.
It's
Yeah,
like 6'8", like 275, and his wife is like 5 feet tall.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's hysterical. It's
Yeah.
absolutely hysterical. All right. So we got AL we got
Yep,
AL MVP. I have a feeling you agree with me on the AL Cy Young also.
I do. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's any right now, I don't think there's uh any conversation with that. I think he's just by far and away the best pitcher. What about NL MVP? I think I think that's a bigger discussion.
Yeah. I just like Acuna. I mean, he's just that five-tool player. He's got it all. I think he's going to end up being the MVP. I mean, he's already kind of the MVP now, but I think he's going to continue to improve his numbers. I don't think, like we said earlier, I don't think we'll get to the 40-40, but he's such a player, man. Like the guy is just such a tough out, and he can spark a rally at any minute, any a moment's notice. So I'm going with Acuna.
Yeah, I I debated over this one. I had a lot of trouble deciding because Freeman's putting up some disgusting numbers, and
Yeah,
I think when you look at the likelihood of hanging on for the entire season, I think Freeman has a better chance to hang on. But I think in the end, when you're looking at Acuna, you're looking at a guy that's going to hit 30 home runs, a guy that is going to steal. He could steal over 60 bases this year, which is absurd. I mean, who steals that many bases and hits that many home runs?
yeah,
If he keeps his average up, I mean, this guy could do well. But I agree with you. I think Acuna right now is probably the MVP.
Yeah.
I probably agree with that. Now, now? This one's really difficult. This is, I think, even more difficult than the AL MVP, and that is NL Cy Young.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I
I
went
mean,
back and forth.
yeah, seriously.
Um, I actually think, and this is going to be controversial. I think it's going to be controversial that Clayton Kershaw gets it. I think he's pitching really well. He's not the he's not number one in stats right now, but he's pitching really, really well.
Yeah, yeah.
Got the pedigree. I think he improves as the season goes on. That Dodgers team is a team that can make a run. So I'm going with Clayton.
It's interesting. You and I have agreed on almost everything, and I'm going to agree with this one too.
Wow. Okay.
I think you look at a guy like we talked about Spencer Strider and all the strikeouts he had. He's 5-2. His ERA is about the same as Kershaw. Kershaw's ERA is up a little bit, but it's under 3, and he's actually averaging 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, which puts him on pace for his second best season overall. His whip's a little bit higher than usual, but man, the guy is somehow he's putting it together
Yeah.
still. I mean,
Yeah.
talking about a guy, I mean,
Very consistent.
this is a guy that has 200 wins. He's like 292 losses. I mean, who has a winning percentage like that?
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is also, I know this hasn't been a stat that's been around that long, but whip, he's the all-time leader in whip.
No, I did not know that.
All time.
That is really impressive.
So he doesn't mess around. He doesn't mess around.
By the way, let me
Yeah.
add here real quick
Yeah.
the current odds right now for who's leading the odds race in all these categories. Acuna is minus 105, so he's the favorite to win the NL MVP, with Freddie Freeman right behind him at plus 480. Not particularly close. The AL MVP is Ohtani at minus 200. Next is Aaron Judge at plus 750.
Oh my God.
So Vegas is like basically crowning Ohtani, which is kind of surprising.
Well, they do that every year. They're in love with
Yeah.
Ohtani. You know that.
NL Cy Young is Spencer Strider at plus 230. Zach Gallen is plus 270, and Clayton Kershaw is plus 550.
Okay.
So Clayton's third on the list. American League Cy Young is your boy, Shane McClanahan, at plus 260. Garrett Cole's plus 600. Framber Valdez is plus 600. I almost named my son Framber, by the way.
He looks like he kind of looks like a Framber.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Spencer or Ohtani, AL MVP according to Vegas by a long shot.
We'll see. I don't know about that, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So last major topic I want to talk about is NBA Finals. So you've got the number 1 seed coming out of the West, Denver, playing the number 8 seed coming out of the East, the Heat. Let's be honest, Heat have no business being there. They beat the number 1 seed, the Bucks. They beat the number 5 seed, the Knicks, and then they limped past the number 2 seed, the Celtics. So, I mean, they deserve to be there, but they have no business being there.
Yeah.
As an 8 seed, whereas Denver had an easier road. I mean, they took down the 8 seed Wolves, the 4 seed Suns, and then miraculously they destroyed the Lakers, who were the 7 seed, which was a surprise to nobody. So they're up 3-1 right now. Are they going to put them away tonight? Game 5 at Denver. You think it's going to 6?
Yes. And that's a little bit biased because when the Sixers traded Jimmy Butler, I stopped watching them. True story. I have not watched a Sixers game since Jimmy Butler got traded. I love that guy, like both as a person. His story's amazing. He's an amazing player.
Incredible. Yeah.
Like they never should have got rid of him. And everyone will agree, like fans and experts agree. So, putting my bias aside for Jimmy Butler being the greatest basketball player of all time, I just think I just have a feeling that Miami is gonna show up for this one. I think Denver is gonna feel. I think they're gonna be a little bit like, oh, we got this locked. We're at home. It's game 4. There's no pressure, and I think Miami's gonna be hungry, and I think they pull out a win. Not a huge win, but I think they're gonna win tonight, and I think they'll go to game 6. But I feel like Denver's gonna win the title.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard for Miami to keep getting up for these games, but Butler, I mean, they've got some players, man. They've got some players that can get hot. So I like Miami tonight.
You look at these games, right? I mean, the Heat won game 2 by 3 points, but game 1, Denver won by 11. Game 2, they won by 15. I mean, game 3, they won by 15. Game 4, they won by 13. They're a better team, and I don't think it's close. I mean, to me, they've got the greatest basketball player on the planet, and looking at him, you wouldn't even realize it.
Yeah.
But Jokic, check out these stats, right? So in 19 postseason games this year, he's averaging 30.1 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 9.8 assists. He's shooting 54% from 2-point. He's shooting 47% from 3.
Wow.
80% from the foul line. He's got 17 double-doubles in 19 games and 10 triple-doubles. Okay.
Man.
This guy, and you're talking about a guy that was, when he was drafted 41st overall. They didn't even show him getting drafted. Instead, a Taco Bell commercial was running.
Okay. I read he was asleep when he
he might have been.
He's actually asleep.
But this is a guy that he had won the last 2 MVPs before this year, and between you and me, I think he deserved it again. But the writers have a lot of trouble giving a guy MVP 3 years in a row. Although he was 0.2 assists away from a triple-double for the season as a center.
That's insane.
I saw highlights of his passing yesterday, and I'm just like shaking my head. I'm like, this guy just has vision that, like, he's got eyes all around his head. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's 2 guys that did like an imitation of him and another player. It's hilarious, like watching them imitate how he runs. Like,
I've seen that guy. That guy is hysterical.
Oh god, it's so funny.
I love that guy's.
You gotta look it up. If you haven't seen it, you gotta look it up. It's hilarious.
And then what the almost the highlight of the entire series was when during halftime Conor McGregor came out for kind of like, I think he was out promoting something, and he's supposedly he was going to have this fight with the mascot, and this guy, I don't know what to make of this guy. I think he's got 1 or 2 screws loose, but he ended up taking the fight a little too seriously. He knocked the mascot over with a left hook, and then while he was on the ground, started punching him. The mascot had to go to the hospital. All right, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Is there something wrong with this guy? I'm just stating the obvious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just doesn't. I don't know. He's kind of he's one of the best marketers of all time. Like, if you look at Conor McGregor and how he's kind of self-promoted and kind of gone from this Irish hick, basically, like he's kind of like known as from the country, like rural Ireland, and he's kind of this hick personality into, he's got proper 12, the alcohol that's his brand that he sells, and he always wore a suit everywhere, and like he just created this aura. And I just think it's part of his character to do that, like the character that he created. But it's kind of like when Fonzie from Happy Days jumped the shark, and the whole jump the shark term came about.
Yeah.
I think that's his jump the shark moment. Like, that's like he literally knocked out a mascot wearing a red, like, shiny suit at a basketball game. Like, your career's over. Like, you jump the shark, you're done. Like, there's nothing else to do after that.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to come back from that one. You
just can't. Like, it's like you're done, dude.
I mean, imagine this poor guy that's in the mascot costume, and he gets in the hospital after. I mean, man, it's like, it's not supposed to go down this way, Connor. And and then you get the guy on the ground, and you're still punching him. I mean, it's like, dude, come on. And this, and I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know if they're going to charge him with something, but like he's a professional MMA fighter. I mean, this could be a pretty serious charge. I mean, his
Well,
hands are like deadly weapons.
I'm gonna be a devil's advocate here and say, like, when those guys spar and train, the guys that they spar against have like headgear on to protect them, and they have the pads and stuff. And maybe he thought these costumes were like that, right? So he's like, this guy's got a giant, soft, pillowy head on. I
Uh,
can punch him, and it's not gonna hurt. I bet that's probably what he comes out and says, if he ever says anything about it. But his lawyers are probably like, dude, don't say a word.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Couple things I just want to mention before we wrap it up. NFL is the only place where this kind of thing happens, right? You've got Dalvin Cook, who's been a Pro Bowler the last 4 seasons. Nobody wants him via trade, so he gets cut. Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like guys fall off. I mean, has his talent fallen off that quickly? I mean, I know he was scheduled to make $14 million, but I mean, right? You keep seeing things like this. Like you think a guy's at his top of his game, and next thing you know, nobody wants him, and he gets cut.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times too, like that same team just re-signs him at a lower dollar amount. Like they're just trying to do a money game. But I don't know exactly what he needs to do to like clear waivers or whatever. There are some rumors the Dolphins might pick him up, and if
I
they
heard
do,
that too.
I would recommend right now putting a little bit of points, if you will, on the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, because if they pick up Dalvin, I feel like they're going to have a really good run. Um, and the odds are really good. I'm trying to look them up right now, but I put a preseason bet on them.
They
They're one
play
of
in
my
a
three teams.
they play in a tough division though too.
Yeah, I had just from an odds perspective, right? Like it's
And
good.
Tua, well, but what are the odds that Tua is able to play half a season?
I mean, it's obviously dependent on that. He needs to be able to play. But they have like all the pieces. I can't
Yeah,
find
but
the
they
odds
do.
right now. But anyway,
They do. And I wanted to congratulate Norway's Jakob Ingebrigtsen, 25-year-old. He set the all-time record for a 2-mile run. He ran it in 7 minutes and 54 seconds. Can you run a mile in 7 minutes and 54 seconds?
I can't even drive a mile in 7 minutes and 54 seconds.
All right. I mean, you're talking about two straight sub 4-minute miles. And supposedly he,
Insane.
he ran away from everybody else. It wasn't even close. It was like there was a shark chasing him on land. I don't know what was going on, but oh my God. That's all I'm saying about that. Oh my God.
Crazy.
Oh my
It's
God. And
crazy.
I guess the
He's
all-time
basically
record.
sprinting, right? He's basically sprinting for 8 minutes.
Yeah,
Like
that's what you're doing. Yeah, yeah. Um, but
nuts.
I think the all-time record was 7 minutes and 58 seconds. So 4 seconds is actually a lot of time
That is a ton of time.
when you think about it. So congratulations
Amazing.
to my boy Jakob, my man. Make it happen, brother. Um, before we go, man,
Dolphins are plus 2,500, by the way.
plus 2,500.
That's a
Well,
pretty good.
before we go, man, I want we got a something I want to end with, and that
All
is
right.
Money Mark's pick of the week. Knowing that you are our gambling aficionado,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to open it up for any sport, any league, anywhere. Somebody wants to make a lot of money. They're going to take your advice on one event and one event only.
Does it need to be an event this week coming up?
Preferably
Okay.
because you'll have to do another one next week.
Okay, got it. I was going to double down on the Dolphins Super Bowl pick, but I won't. What I will say is a great bet for this week would be Victor Hovland of the PGA Tour, now PIF Tour, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's going to be called. I think it's going to still be called PGA, finishing in the top 10 at the upcoming tournament.
Top
Top
10.
10 finish for Victor Hovland.
Okay.
Norwegian fella, young guy, amazing golfer. He's really coming into his own. He's figured out chipping, putting. He won a tournament 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he's just top of his game. I think he finishes top 10 this week.
All right. All right.
Lock it in.
Sounds good. So we're gonna lock that baby in.
Lock it in.
We'll
Top
follow
10.
you through the season, see how you do. But I know I'm as soon as we're done this podcast, I know I'm going to put money on it.
Yeah, I'm doing it too. I'm gonna put my
So
money where my mouth is. I will
that's
bet
the
on
way to
every
do it, my
every
man.
every weekly pick I give. I'm gonna bet on myself. So
Awesome, good. Let's keep track of
10 points. I'm putting 10 points on it.
you're putting 10 points. All right. We'll see what happens. I'm
All
excited.
right.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, great episode. Thanks for joining us today, Money Mark. And with
buddy.
any luck, you will be part of the show from now on. And man, if Phil would ever join the show, he knew we were having it this morning. He said we were good to go, and then my man is a no show. Now listen,
I thought he said he's out helping to sign Messi to the Miami deal. That's what I thought he was
no,
doing, huh?
he's been in France. He's prepping Victor Wembanyama for summer camp because we all knew he's going to be the number one pick. He's like 7'5" and can shoot the three. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I know he's been spending a lot of time with him. He's his personal athletic trainer and coach.
Makes sense.
So he might have, he might have just missed his flight. He was supposed to come in early this morning, but that's okay. We'll get him next time. But have a great week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Fill in the Mic with our special guest, Money Mark. Take care, everybody.